I'm Julio. I'm from Los Angeles, California, originally.
Where did you grow up in California?
Kind of all over, West Hollywood, Koreatown, and eventually I made myself, into the Valley. We moved to the Valley. People I grew up with are around in Hollywood. We're all either skateboarders, snowboard kids, BMX kids, just it's always subculture, always some kind of cholos, whatever. So they had a big influence. I had many different aspects of different cultures to pull from, even, Hesh kids, goth kids, whatever, skaters. It was always a hodgepodge of friends. Yeah, it was a really cool place to grow up in the 80s, 80s and 90s. Yeah.
So would you say like West Hollywood is kind of where you were throughout your formative years?
Yeah, West Hollywood and North Hollywood were both, I was kind of in between both. I moved right for high school. I moved into the Valley and was like the new kid out in the Valley, so. So how I got into cars was, there was a big street racing scene, obviously, in Southern California, with the imports and the muscle cars, and Southern California is just a hub of car culture in general, with the lowriders of the '60s and '70s, and it's just cars last a lot longer out there. There's no cars don't rust out, so it was kind of that. It was seeing the street racing, the Volkswagen Beetles were definitely a huge, that was the start. That was the absolute start of it for me. It was air-cooled Volkswagens. And I moved into they were obviously too slow, moved into the JDM scene, import tuning and that stuff kind of when that stuff was blowing up. So yeah, that was the start of it. Mm-hmm. So I am first generation Guatemalan, born here. My parents moved here in the 70s, and they met in English class. The reason I got into the import scene was it just felt a little more, it just resonated more with the stuff I was involved in. A lot of skate kids drove Civics or Integras. It was just a very common car you would have, as where the muscle cars were kind of more the jock thing, the football player, whatever, and they had the muscle car and burnouts and whatever. So yeah, it was kind of like this, okay, I really like this. I really like the way this looks. I like these people. I feel more at home with this community than say the jocks or the whatever you want to call them now. The muscle car enthusiast, which now I like it. Now I think it's cool. I can appreciate it. But back then it was like the whole. There's what was the term? There's no replacement for displacement. And and now we've seen that there's little four bangers are pulling 9-second quarter miles, 8-second quarter miles, I think now. I don't even know what's going on. I'm so far gone from that, but yeah, totally. Having the moment where I kind of saw that I really was into cars was, I guess in my early, before I can drive, I was very drawn to the air-cooled Volkswagens. I thought they were really cool. They would slam them, they'd take the deck lid off, show off the motor, they'd chrome the motor out, and I thought that was always really cool. So when I got to about 16, my dad had one and built one up really nice, and he sold it to me. He eventually sold it to me for super cheap, like maybe $800 or something. I think it was worth a lot more than that. And I think that was kind of the start, was seeing that, and then, all right, now I got my own. Let me try to trick it out, whatever. That was kind of the start. that was the moment where I was like, okay, I love this. This is really cool. And then it trickled to, like I said, I got another Volkswagen after that, and it was a little faster. It had dual carbs, etc. You know, the Freeway Flyer transmission. It still wasn't fast enough, you know. And one day we're driving, and my cousin had moved from West Hollywood. He moved to Simi Valley, and we're driving, and we see the CRX, and it's got a roll cage, and it's got white and blue interior, and it's got the Wings West body kit on it, and we're just like, whoa, that thing is so cool. It looks so futuristic. And we'd see it, whatever. Finally knocked on the guy's door, and I was like, hey man, you want to sell your CRX? He's like, yeah, it needs a new clutch, but yeah, it's been sitting for fucking years. So that was kind of my first taste of JDM, Japanese imports. It was this little piece of shit 91 Civic, or CRX. Yeah, it's really funny thinking about it now. It's actually here. It's actually this guy right here. Little funny little guy. But yeah, that was the start. That was the start where the JDM, or the, what's it called? Japanese, the love for Japanese cars. Yeah, okay, so I never knew the names of the car clubs back then because I was obviously too young. But I would see, kids in the neighborhood, Latino kids, with slammed Volkswagens, and with the hoods popped off, and they had the rag tops, and it was cool to see. It's funny to think of it now. They'd have the blonde rat tail and whatever, and in the mesh, tank top. And it sounds corny now, but it was so cool back then to see that. You thought that was the coolest kid ever, driving. These kids, they were probably kids. They were probably like 17 years old, but to me, they were like, grown-ups, like gods. Like, whoa, these cars are so cool. Chromed out motors and, extravagant sound systems. Yeah, really cool. And, big Stinger exhausts making all kinds of noise. And yeah, really, really, really cool stuff. Really, really dynamic. Just like, whoa, look at that. Whoa,
So nowadays, I feel like we hear a lot about the importance of representation and how, you start to see figures who are people in power, who are people of color. Was that kind of at all an element to you when you would see those dudes with the cars? Like, did that spark something in your head? Because, like, obviously you were saying, like, you didn't click with or identify with the jock kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with the muscle cars and all that.
I feel like I honestly, I can't say that specifically was a race thing. I would say it was just more of a vibe thing. It was like, whether you're Asian or black or white, Latino, it really didn't matter. It was more of like, are you cool? Like, do you do cool shit? Are you into cool shit? Are you building stuff right? Are you doing stuff right? Are you, listening to this type of music? Like, are you listening to some fucking corny shit? Are you, like, that was always like the thing, where like maybe the jock is listening to like Twisted Sister, might be like, whatever. And this other person might be whatever, listening to whatever, I don't know, whatever 80s, freestyle would have been at the time that I would have thought was cool, 80s freestyle dance music would have been like, oh, that's so cool, I don't know. That's my guess, I guess, of what kind of differentiated who I was going towards. Or rap music. Perfect. Run DMC. They're blasting Run DMC. These guys are blasting some corny fucking...
Dave Matthews.
Not even predating that. It's like even predating that. It's like or some kind of like hair like poison or some fucking shit where you're just like, God damn it, like these guys are fucking the worst. They're not, but you know, that's just where you're thinking at that age.
Of course.
You know, it was really tough in those times to save up money, to work on your car to get, you know, a header or a fucking intake or whatever. And I worked at a skate shop. I worked at Val Surf, and you know, the pay was, you know, what it was for the time. You didn't work there because, you know, you were gonna get rich. You worked there because it was fucking family, and you know, and it was cool. He worked at a skate shop and a snowboard shop, and you sold fun. So, yeah, that's kind of where I would save money because I would get deals on stuff. So like, I love snowboarding, and I would get snowboards for free sometimes, or snowboard clothes for free. And then, all right, now I can take I don't need to spend my money on that. I can spend my money on, you know, fixing up this, you know, at that time, it was the CRX, and ended up selling that and buying a 95 Integra, which was amazing. It had been driven by like a business person. It had the cell phone, the car phone with the, you know, with the wire and everything. So it was like clearly an adult had been driving this car, because when I got a hold of it and I popped that VTEC for the first time, it hit so hard. Like it had never been, I feel like the person never popped VTEC in it, because it was just, it kicked. It was an actual kick. And this is stock. This is like no intake, no header, no tuning, no nothing, just bone stock. That VTEC hit, it was like, holy shit, this motor is fresh.
Was it a GSR?
It was a GSR.
Oh.
Yeah, GSR for, you know, someone who's, I think I was like 21, 22. With a GSR, like, whoa, like, it was sick. I was stoked. I was really stoked. Like, to get that find, it was so clean. The person just took just great care of it. And 3 months later, driving it in Burbank, some lady runs a red light. She wasn't even drunk. She just ran a red light. She wasn't paying attention. Smoked my my little Integra. I already had an intake in it, and a header, full catback exhaust. Sad day. And then that led me into. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay. That led me into my next Integra. It was a black Integra. I bought it off a used car dealership. I ended up working for that dealership later. Piece of shit. Biggest piece of shit. It was awful. The horn didn't work. It was just awful. We ended up, what's the statute of limitation laws?
That's like murder, so you're fine.
Okay.
Don't put on the side of a road, take the plates off.
Yeah, I had some friends fucking steal it. Yeah.
You can cut that part out.
We can cut that out. Yeah, so we'll just start. So I got the black Integra, and biggest piece of shit car. I was super unhappy with it. I tried to do whatever with it. It just wasn't making me happy. It ended up getting stolen, and I ended up buying a red hatchback, or a red hatchback, and that got stolen. That had a B series in it, and I bought a blue SI, which is in here somewhere. Yeah, I bought this blue SI with gold spoon wheels. I don't know if you guys can see this, but yeah, that was my baby for a while. The gold spoon wheels, they weren't real, obviously. JDM clear corners, you know, or the orange corners without the reflector. You know, very cool. At that time, there was not many cars that were blue and with gold wheels. This is 2001, 2002. And I ended up crashing that on my way to go snowboarding. Completely tacoed it, and yeah. That was the end of that guy. Yeah.
And that's kind of what got you into trucks, right? Or bigger cars.
I decided, so what ended up happening after that Civic was I ended up buying a WRX, an '03 WRX wagon, and putting racks on it and being like, I'm done tinkering with cars, or so I thought. Drove that around. It served its purpose. I needed something bigger living in Colorado at that point. I ended up with a Tacoma, a TRD, 4-wheel drive, the whole package, snowmobile in the back. I was living the life in Colorado. It was great. And then I moved to New York, sold everything, and ended up with a Mini Cooper out here randomly because it fits anywhere. And then I wanted a van. I saw the Toyota van, not the Hiace, but just the Toyota, the U.S. market, old Toyota cab over that my best friend's mom used to have. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that. And I had another friend be like, nah, you don't want that. You want this Mitsubishi Delica. And I was like, what the hell is that? I've never heard of that. He's like, they never made it here. You got to import it from Japan. He sends me links, he sends me pictures. 4x4, turbo diesel, right-hand drive. Holy shit. All right. Looking, researching, found one. And yeah, it's outside. Okay, so so the process of finding this Delica was a friend also wanted a Delica, and we both went and we each bought a Delica. He bought an L400, I bought an L300. Mine ended up being a Lemon. It had electrical issues. It completely shit out on me. It was really cool. It was a low roof, crystal light roof. It was a 5-speed, which was a little weird because you have to shift. First gear is still in the same place, so it's a little weird. I figured it out, but I ended up going back to the shop, and it was like, okay, I'm really sorry. Like we can fix it. I was like, I don't want to deal with it. Like I don't want it anymore. It's jinxed in my eyes, So he's like, okay, well, I have this Chamonix. It's not ready, but it's a beast, and it's got about 80,000 miles on it. And I looked at it, and it didn't have the crystal light roof. It didn't have the sliding windows on the side. But I was like, it had the cool interior, and it had the turbo diesel, which my other one was a gas. And so I was like, all right, let's do this guy. And he swapped me out. And I ended up with a really nice van. It's been good to me. And they meaning Delica USA, the guys at Delica USA will import these vans, and they'll do all the paperwork, and they'll deal with all that stuff with the import process. And you just kind of show up and pay the money. You pay a premium, but you don't have to dealing with importing it and the whole headache of getting it over here, especially getting it because it goes from Japan to the West Coast, and then it's got to get across the country over to us. So it's got to touch a lot of hands to get it over here. So they just deal with that. You just show up and say, I want that one, and give them the money, and you're pretty much good to go. It's really cool.
Describe, I guess, some of the feelings that you get when you drive the car.
Some of the feelings I get. It's really cool to drive that car. It's really cool to drive that van. You get a lot of thumbs up from people and hooting and hollering and people honking and, hey, what the hell is that thing? It's a lot of questions, and it's really cool. It's really it's unlike any other car I've ever driven. Because it doesn't matter if you're a muscle car dude or a truck guy or a lowrider guy or whatever you're into. It's all types are just stopping you and like they just want to know what it is. What the hell is this thing? Why are you on the wrong side of the? Why are you driving on that side? You know, what this thing is so tall. What the hell? You know, all kinds of questions. It's really cool. It breaks down a lot of barriers with people that normally you probably wouldn't even talk to. They probably wouldn't pay you no mind if you're driving, you know, like when I drive my Subaru, like I don't get that for driving my Forester. Like who gives a shit? It's a Forester. It's an awesome car, but it's just like, it's not the Delica, you know, it's not this like crazy, you know, I call it the you know, it's a strange creature. It is a strange creature. It's this like giant toaster on wheels, basically. So yeah, you get really it's a unique experience driving that it's definitely a unique experience driving that van for sure. Like I said, you'll meet you know, like Trump supporters will come up to you who probably wouldn't normally talk to me. Just, you know, wanting to talk more about what the hell the van is. What is this thing? What, you know, is it 4-wheel drive? What, you know, or, you know, a random, just people that normally you just wouldn't. They just walk by you and pay you no mind. It's a very cool conversational piece for sure. So actually, to hit on that, to hit on something you just said, you mentioned is it utilitarian? It actually a delivery car is what it is. Mitsubishi delivery car, Delica is actually. I think you're supposed to pronounce it Delica, delivery car, whatever, Delica. And it's used, the reason it's so narrow is because the roads are narrow in Japan. And yeah, they need to get in and you know, in and out of places, and through you know, through that city. So that's why it's kind of that weird, really tall, narrow. The specific one I have is the Chamonix version, which is the for the ski enthusiast, which I had no idea. It just you know, the universe kind of throws you stuff randomly like that. Like you're a snowboarder. This is actually has waterproof carpets and, you know, designed for that lifestyle. That's why it's the Chamonix. It's one of the mountains in France. In Mont Blanc, which is on my bucket list, absolutely. But obviously, I've lifted it and put, you know, bigger tires on it to get me around and do stuff that it wasn't really. You know, it's very capable of doing stuff, but you know, I think ultimately, I don't think it was designed for like super duty off-road, and yeah, but it's, you know, the guys at Custom Shop helped me lift it. You know, they did the lift, they helped me choose the tires, the right tires for it, to do what I needed to do, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. The Enki RPT1 is a homage to the RPF one, obviously, which goes back to the days of, the earlier days of street racing and the import tuning. You know, that's kind of the go-to wheel. Everyone loves that wheel. It's just a classic. It's a classic. Yeah.
Is there like a sense of freedom that you get from owning this car and the places that it can take you and like the places you actually go with it?
Sorry, I gotta do this. I'm starting to like. Do you want one?
What, a cop shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
There you go. There is a sense of freedom with owning a four-wheel drive vehicle, being that is you can go anywhere you want having a car, but if you really want to get out there and like go where even less people can go, that's where it sets apart. Obviously, it sets you apart. You can really get into some zones that not many people get to see or even know about or just even think of going. It's just like put it in four-wheel drive and just go and just explore. It's really a great feeling to just, be able to drive on the beach. Like to live in New York City and to drive an hour and be at the beach, like drive on the beach, it's a lot of, most people come to New York, they're like, I don't need a car. I live in New York City. Get a cab, I get an Uber. But it really does change the landscape when you own a vehicle, and on top of that, when you own a four-wheel drive vehicle, you really can see some really cool shit that you had no idea even existed. Like we went to a spot. I mean, you saw today was like, how can you access that? You can't. You need that vehicle. You need some kind of capable vehicle to get you out there, or you get stuck, or you won't even make it. You won't even get there. So yeah, there's a big sense of freedom in driving that for sure. Yeah. So the reason I kind of pulled away from the street racing scene, on top of like the fact that I had cars stolen and wrecked my car, was I kind of didn't like the vibe that was happening. It was very very toxic, very shit talky, and very it just didn't feel, it wasn't as fun as it was when it started. And I had been looking for that same like sense of community, especially in LA. It was like, what do you got in your hood? What do you got under the hood? What do you want to race? Like, yeah, it was just this very like toxic, macho. Yeah. What I didn't like of the muscle car scene was now happening in the import scene. And it really, when it was when that damn movie came out, The Fast and the Furious. I remember this. Holy shit, I'm fucking triggered. I remember we went and watched the movie and we're like, God damn, that was so fucking corny. And we went, obviously it was Friday night, so we were gonna go to street races, because that's what we did. We'd go do our thing, go street racing. Glen Oaks, in the valley, in Sun Valley, over by the junkyards, by the trash dump. There's just like a big half-mile strip of nothing. So we went. Normally, pre-movie was it'd be like 10, 15 cars, bunch of fucking car enthusiasts, very quiet. No one was making noise. We knew how to move so the cops didn't fuck with us. Keep your shit quiet. All right, let's go. Boom, go street race. Set up the race, boom, they go, whatever. Sometimes it'd get raided, sometimes it wouldn't. This night in particular, Fast and the Furious, it turns into a fucking party, dude. We show up and it's a fucking full-on like rave, like, fucking girls fucking dancing and shit. And you're just like what the fuck is going on? I feel like that's when it really turned and it started becoming like this like, oh, you can get girls doing this. Let me be macho, blah, blah, blah.
It became a commodity.
Yeah, it was like the cool thing to do. Not because it was cool and like people would, you kind of did it undercover, like you were sneaking around. It was very cat and mouse before. And now it'd become this like, this movie came out. It's like, oh, let's go do that. So that's kind of what pulled me away from that scene. And I was like, okay, let me step away from this. I'm getting, circling back. Sorry, this is really long-winded. I found that once I got my van and I started going to these 4x4 meets, the community is completely different. It's more grown up because it's an expensive hobby. Excuse me. And B, you have to help each other. You have to. Like when you're out wheeling, whatever you're doing, and you get stuck, you need help. You're gonna need help. So if you're just some dickhead and you're just like running your mouth, no one's gonna want to help you. No one's gonna want to, I feel like it's a really cool community. It's not unlike any other community. It's so welcoming and so positive. Everyone's just like, cool setup, man, or have you tried this, or it's really cool. I really enjoy it. It's kind of bringing me back to the days of like when it was just like the core group of car enthusiasts. That's kind of what's going on. It seems that way in the off-road community. Yeah, really cool people. I've met so many amazing people doing this. I've wheeled with some of the best dudes, best people. Yeah, it's awesome. That community feeling was very much like the skate community was when late 80s, early 90s, especially early 90s when there was no skate parks and it was the uncool thing to do. And if you skated, that was like, and you see another skater, that was immediately your friend. Like, that's, all right, it's us, man. It's us four in the whole school. It's kind of like that with it's that same feeling with having a Delica. It's like, hey, you're the homie, cool, awesome. Let's go cruise around. And I've had people roll up and say, hey man, I have the same van, and they end up being really cool. They end up being friends, and we end up going wheeling. It feels very organic. That's the word I wanted to say, as corny as that might be. It's like, it literally is that same feeling of seeing that kid with the, Plan B shirt or the blind purple blind jeans. You're like, oh shit, you got purple blind jeans. You're the homie. What's up? let's go skate some spots, whatever. Same thing with the Delica. It's like it's really cool. It's like, oh shit, you have, oh cool. What you know? Let's compare. Oh, what do you got? You got this, you know? Oh yeah, mine is broken on mine, but this one works, and I have this piece on mine, and you know. Oh, you got the high roof. Oh, you got the crystal light roof. You got, you know, whatever. Yours is a gas, whatever. You know, it's all kinds of. It's really cool. It's really cool. Where I see car culture, I would like to touch on the East Coast car culture, which is really, really impressive. I was unaware that this many people were into cars out here. You don't really think about it, but there's the people that are into cars are super passionate, and it feels really, really cool to just like have that ability to talk cars in a city like New York. It's with people and share that same passion for, you know, for cars. It's really, really cool to have that out here. The people out here are super into their cars and can nerd out with you about, like, you know. I had a guy ask me the other day, this UPS dude. He was just like, "Does it have he gave me some engine code for a Mitsubishi Eclipse. He's like, "Does it have da-da-da motor?" And I was like, "No, it's a 4D56." But I knew immediately what he was talking about. It was like he was talking engine codes. I don't know Mitsubishi Eclipses, so I didn't know what it was. But yeah, it's really cool. Where I see the future of car culture, I hope people get more involved and you know, create more YouTube channels, I guess, to share their vehicles, because tons of people have really cool cars and really cool stories to tell, and you know, I want to watch them.